Okay, everyone, let's see if we can change some minds tonight. Matt, what's on the agenda for our first segment?
So first up, we're going to discuss Afghanistan. You've probably seen something in the news if you've been looking at some of the mainstream sources today, or just lately. We have the U.S. withdrawal going on, which means an end of a U.S. presence there for what's been 2 decades now, and it's really brutal on the grounds in Afghanistan right now. What's happening? It's really brutal. Before we got there, the Taliban had gained control of Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001. Obviously, the war on terror and kind of once we got to Iraq and Afghanistan was the early 2000s. What's happening right now is the U.S. is withdrawing, and of course, other like NATO forces are withdrawing. As you can see right there, I believe the 12th province has actually fallen. Now there's, I believe, 34 provinces. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, there's 34 provinces, over 400 districts. And as you can see, the 12th one has fallen. About 70% of the country is now under Taliban control. If you can see kind of towards the right side of Afghanistan there, Kabul is the capital. And what's significant is Kandahar down towards the south, the second biggest city in Afghanistan, just fell today to the Taliban. So I'm not here to say like what we should or shouldn't do. I don't really know. We shouldn't have been there to begin with. I do know that once we got there, we didn't do it the right way. And that's like really, really charitable. We really shouldn't have been there. We fucked it up while we were there. And I mean, we can always justify being there, but I don't know what the answer is, but it's ugly.
No, I completely agree with you. It's horrific and ugly. And, I made like a condescending joke earlier. I was like, I think this is finally a time where you can just be like, thanks, Obama. And like, it's warranted just because what we're dealing with now has been a long time coming from just like poor decision making with foreign policy. And I feel like that's such a reoccurring theme, no matter the administration.
This is a bipartisan tradition, like I was saying earlier. We're all hanging out. Like this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. This is U.S. imperialism. This is what we do, and this is the end result of what we do, especially post World War II. Man. I know with everything going on right now, we're going to send about another 3,000 troops in to help facilitate the process, trying to get people out of the embassy and things like that, trying to get evacuations taken care of, probably help with the visa process for refugees and stuff like that. We know that thousands of people have already been killed, hundreds of thousands of people have already been displaced from their homes. Afghan soldiers are being executed by the Taliban. January to July 21st, almost 400,000 people have been internally displaced, and that's just from... And if it says, 75% of that came from about 10 of 34 provinces. So, I mean, what's going to happen by the time they gain full control? Because that's where I think it's heading. At their peak, from 96 to 2001, they had about 90% control of Afghanistan, and they're at about 70%. And they're taking over aspects of the north more so than they did in their previous push. And part of the problem is the reason the Afghani, this is me kind of shooting for him, man. Take it from what it is. I'm not like an expert on this shit. But we didn't really set them up for success here. I mean, let's be real. How can you go in and rebuild a country's infrastructure after like decades of what was happening, like the previous wars and things, and try and set up a government, build a security force, build a police force, when the people who are trying to build a police force don't even have like no one has like experience in building institutions, let alone like the practical like application what you're trying to teach them. Anyways, like these are soldiers. Yeah, it was just really disjointed. It seems like we never had a coherent plan.
Yeah, and anytime that you have like a circumstance where you're going to get a bunch of refugees, it's like really fucked up. But to have that circumstance happen during a surging global pandemic with like various variants making it impossible for us to really determine what to expect is just even more horrific.
100%. Last thing I'll say, Pakistan. So in all of this, man, so the U.S., we went into Iraq, went into Afghanistan for Osama bin Laden, right, the war on terror, 9/11. Pakistan escaped unscathed in all of this to some degree. And like someone pointed out, the key variable there is probably a nuclear weapon, right? So, and we know that right now Pakistan had involvement with the Taliban originally in terms of funding, training, things like that. I don't know the specific level of involvement now, but I do know it would be silly to act like they're not involved in what's going on. They're always quick to criticize the remaining government there from Afghanistan. So it has to be. I think UN. The problem is the UN is not a. I don't look to the UN as some kind of a credible impactful like body myself, man. So it's like maybe that's just like maybe I'm naive, but like I don't know, man. I'm just trying to kind of highlight what's happening, make people aware of it. Don't overlook it because you can't become numb to this shit. This is our tax dollars. This is our representatives and what they've decided. This is it coming to an end. So this is like on us as a nation.